This video is long overdue. I just wanted to share some information on the quick change metal stamping jigs. This has been the current version since 2022. These are solid nylon metal stamping jigs. They've got 2 strong neodymium magnets in them. And the purpose of these jigs is they hold your stamps straight and vertical in a line for you, so you can get better impressions when you stamp. They hold a wide array of different stamps regardless of brand. So for instance, here's an Impress Art stamp, bigger Impress Art stamp. Here's a round stamp by Brandvik Tools. Here's a Pragmatic Artisan stamp that's a rectangle. You can hold that in either direction. You can use it for freehand stamping. You can also use it for stamping straight lines. And I was going to show you the different setups for how you can do that. So in terms of freehand, all you would do is snap the stamp in there. I'm going to go ahead and align this so that I can see where the face is going to be. And you want to position this over your workpiece. So the feet have clearance. So if you're going to stamp along a piece, you could either tape your piece down if you want to work with it that way, and then you can freehand stamp around the pieces. Otherwise, use a straight edge to get your straight lines. So the first thing you want to do is have a good stamping area. So if you're using a stamping block or a stump, anything like that. What I'm going to be using here is just a concrete paver. I've got this on my bench with a rubber stamping block and then a steel block on top of that. So that way you get a nice dead blow effect. And I'm just going to be using a 2-pound brass hammer. So it doesn't take a big hit to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and just align this. I'm going to go ahead and just start off by putting one stamp just on the end of this piece of copper. So I'm just going to line that up. Now the contour of the jig is so you can put your hand on there and you want to keep one thumb on the side of the stamp. It also works if you're left-handed, so you would just flip it around and just use it the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up, drop the stamp down so it's resting on the workpiece, and like I said, just hold it with one thumb. Now I know this is going to be straight up and down to my stamping surface. And I'm just going to take the brass hammer and just give it a decent hit. So that's all it takes for that, and you can see you get a nice even impression. So that's how you do the freeform stamping. As far as stamping in a straight line, so let's say we want to take some numbers here and we want to do that 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use something as simple as a popsicle stick. You can see here I've just taken a popsicle stick and I've added some line markers on that. You can tape that down on your stamping block, and then what you use is the flat side of the jig to follow that edge. So we're going to tape that down. So it doesn't really matter where I position this. I'm going to go ahead and just tape this down to the top of the block. Just use some painter's tape. Now we've got a straight edge to get our line. Now depending on where you want to tape down your workpiece, that's going to vary based on the stamp size you're using. So if we're using these smaller Impress Art stamps, you just want to snap one of the stamps in there, and then you want to position it over your workpiece against the guide. So that's the line that I want to go with, and I'm going to position the workpiece underneath. So in this case, it's that piece of copper, and I'm going to kind of position it where I want that. So I'm going to say, okay, well, I want this stamp to be kind of centered on this piece. So that gives me the distance between the guide that I'm using and the workpiece itself. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that in there. But I'm going to go ahead and just position that here. I'll just take that down. Now we've got the workpiece parallel to the guide, and we've got the workpiece position underneath where that stamp's going to be. So I'm going to move this down. I'm just going to use these little markers that I had drawn out on the straight edge. Hold it with your thumb just to keep some pressure on there. And just like that, we get a 0. Just switch this out to a 1. And I'll move down, one marker on my guide. Move down 2 markers on the guide. On the guide, and then 4 down on the guide. You can see we get a nice straight line and even spacing, so all the numbers are aligned, and then you can stamp along your bracelets and things like that. The feet then get out of the way because you've got that clearance underneath so that you can work over your workpiece. Now, the other thing I want to show you is there will be a multi-line tool coming out soon, and that's going to ship along with a straight edge guide. So you don't have to use a popsicle stick or come up with your own guide. You would just tape down this guide in the back, and then it gives you a ruler with markers you can work off of. and then a multi-line adapter that will work with this jig to give you a 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch step off. And that step off will allow you to do multiple straight lines without moving your workpiece. So that's how these jigs work. They are available on unminted.ltd. They're also available on Etsy. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.